Alright, so let's look at another method of creating a clipping mask-like effect, and that's the draw inside mode. So it's essentially almost the same thing as a clipping mask, but the process of getting there is a little bit different. So let's go ahead and analyze that. I'm going to come over here to this outline of a shirt and a pair of pants. And so what I want to do is I want to place this pattern across this shirt, and I want to place this pattern across these pants. So what I could do is stretch this pattern out, put the outline on top of that, and then create a clipping mask. But let's look at a different way of doing that. If you look down over here in our tool panel, right below the fill and stroke and these other modes, you're going to see these drawing modes. So right now we've been working in the draw normal mode. That just means anytime we draw, we create new objects on top of one another, but we could actually change how we draw. For instance, we could work by drawing behind objects, and to me this one isn't really that practical, so I don't really feel the need to kind of explore that. But this other one is called draw inside mode. This one becomes really useful because this works almost identically to a clipping mask. So here's the process for using that. I'm going to go ahead and select this pattern and then hit Command C to copy this onto the clipboard. Okay, and then I'll click outside and I'll click my shirt outline. I want to draw inside of this, so I'm going to come down over by the toolbar and I'm going to click the draw inside mode. You can also hit Shift D. So after I hit the draw inside mode, it puts this dotted frame around your object, and that's just letting you know that this object is in draw inside mode. Now if I hit Command and V, I will place that object inside of that outline. And so it's here I can start to reshape this, rotate it, size it, and now I have that pattern across my shirt. Alright, so once you're done, you come back to the tool panel and click the draw normal and click outside. And now this is an object that I can size. And like a clipping mask, if I need to get back into it, I'm going to click, and you see you can't go back into draw inside. So this is now like a clipping mask. So what I need to do if I want to modify this is double click to get to isolation mode, and then click again to get back to those objects I put inside. I'll hit escape. And let's try it again, but let's try it with these pants. I'll select the pattern, do Command and C to copy that onto the clipboard. I'll select the pants, click Draw Inside Mode, Command V to paste that pattern inside, and here's where I will start to add that in. And once I like it, I'll come back and click Draw Normal, and we're done. So let's get in a little more practice, and let's actually draw some new objects inside. To begin rendering or drawing it inside of this, I'm going to first just select this large outline shape, and I'll go ahead and fill that in with this light brown color. So hopefully in your swatches you have kind of this spectrum of browns. And that's what we're going to be using. Okay, so now that I have that selected, I'm going to go ahead and click Draw Inside. And if that worked, you're going to get a small dotted frame around that. And so now I can click outside. I'll come over to my pen tool. And what I want to create first is this graphic breakup on the face. So I want to have this kind of dividing line of value that runs down. So again, we'll get on a little more pen tool practice. So I'm going to start off of the outline, and I'll click and drag, and then I'll come down, click and drag again. And it doesn't really matter what color you're working with, just as long as you can see some kind of contrast. For me, it's this outline. Come down this way, come around, and maybe I'll mimic kind of a shadow off of the nose. So to there, move this. Remember, you can move while you're working by holding down on the space bar. So that over on the lips. I want to make a corner, so I'll just hover inside and click once. I want to pull this in, so I'll hold down on the Alt key and pull this handle so I can get that cusp point, and I'll continue to do my path. I'll do another cusp point, so hold down on the Alt key and grab that control handle and pull, and then I'll come way outside over here and finish that off. And now it doesn't really matter how I finish this off because it's going to be masked anyways, but I just need to complete the entire path. So I'll come all the way back up to here and look for that circle to complete the path. Alright, so now that I have that new object on top, I'll hit V for my black arrow, and I'll go ahead and change the fill. I'll choose this darker tone of brown. And while I'm at it, I'm going to pull the swatches panel off and then open up my gradient panel and pull that off. Close the transparency. And let's go ahead and put a gradient on here. I'm just going to pull this right on top of the gradient panel. I'll pull off the white color, and I think I'll get an even darker brown, and I'll put it right on top of that default black. Alright, and so I'll hit G for the gradient annotator. I'll flip the gradient, and I'll pull this one in and start kind of modifying that. Maybe I'll give it a little bit of an angle, and I'll double click. Actually, I'll click on this color stop, and I'll bring down the opacity. Try 20%. Maybe that's too much. Let's try 10%. And then I'll pull this midpoint marker. So after I click off of creating that object, you're going to see that it automatically kicks me out of the draw on side mode. So I need to come in here and I need to take off the stroke on that path. So now I need to treat it just like a clipping mask. So I'll click on that, and then I'll double click, and then I'll access that new object I made. I'll take off the stroke. And so once I'm done modifying that by going into the clipping mask mode, let's see what we need to do if we want to create some other parts to this value breakup. So let's say we want some of this highlight value right in here. I'll go ahead and access the pen tool, and I'll start drawing this highlight area on the side of the face. And I'm not going to worry about the boundaries again. I'm just going to go right outside those boundaries. And this time I will add some different colors to this gradient. So I'll pull this light cyan color in there. I'll hit G for the gradient annotator and see what I can come up with. I'll go ahead and hold down the Alt key and make another one of those color stops, but I'll bring down the opacity. I'm working with 3 colors there. Okay, so when I'm pretty satisfied with how that looks, I'll hit V for the black arrow. And now I need to put this inside of this container. So I'm going to click on this shape, and this time I'm going to do Command and X. So I'm going to actually cut the shape onto the clipboard. Then I'm going to click inside of the container, double click for isolation mode, and then I'll hit Command Shift V to paste that in place. And you can see when I did that, it's now part of this clipping mask. So I have that in there. So go ahead and try to add a couple more features using the same method. Just draw your shape, cut it, access inside the clipping mask, and then paste it inside.